So you got 20 years sober.
19 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And next year is going to be 20. Yeah.
Are you in the program or anything?
Kind of. I mean, like I don't run the full program, like, and with the sponsor. And
yeah.
What's crazy is that, what kind of inspired me to get sober was actually Cartoon and Esteban.
Yeah.
Because when I got sober, they were already 7 years clean.
Yeah, I remember.
And then I was like, holy shit.
They were like a power. I remember when they were like, Cartoon and Esteban, and they were sober. And like, I think Cartoon at the time was like into Tony Robbins and shit.
Yeah.
And they were on some like search and destroy. Like,
yeah.
In that era, those two guys, I mean, they're still crushing, right?
Yeah.
But in that era, as a young kid, seeing them, it was like, my jaw was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, these guys were destroying everything. Like anything that had anything to do with that kind of art or that lifestyle, or that culture, they had it in music, in films, in the shop, in the place that, down in Skid Row, like all that shit. And that's why I have, as soon as I made a little bit of money, I was like, well, I have to get a Esteban photo. I have all these Esteban photos everywhere. I was like, I got to get some of those. And I went to them. I was like, you gotta break me off. I went there with like $5,000. I was like, give me this. And then of course, like, I'm getting tattooed by Cartoon because at the time, and probably still, but it was like his clientele was just like A-list.
Yeah.
And it's like that was a mark that you've made it if you had the merchandise from those guys.
Yeah.
And and they were a beacon of a clean lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
I still want a Cartoon tat,
Yeah.
Before he retires, hopefully. We joke about it sometimes of what we're gonna actually do sometime. But they were very, very instrumental, or whether they knew it or not, of me getting clean at that time. And then I remember asking Cartoon to be my sponsor.
Yeah.
And he was like, he kind of was like, oh, sorry.
Bring the mic closer.
I asked Cartoon to be my sponsor at the time, and he kind of politely declined, backed out. And then it kind of pushed me back from the program a little bit.
Yeah.
Where like, I'm not running the most perfect program, like I said, with sponsors and all and sponsoring people. But I do periodically go to meetings to check myself in, especially if I start getting all tantaran and thinking that I got this thing licked.
Yeah.
I'll go to a meeting and hear some of the newcomer stories, and it quickly puts you back in check. Like, just that quick, you can go out,
Yeah. So that's cool. 19 years is no joke. Yeah. I've done it a bunch of different ways, and the way I do it now is I'm pretty regular because I'm still crazy. So I just if I get away from it for too long, my brain starts telling me all kinds of weird stories. Mm-hmm. And I start also building cases against people, being like, you know what? Fuck this dude. And like that, my head gets full of resentments. Mm-hmm. And it still does, even with the program too. But like, at least it's managed, and the thing is, if you're an alcoholic, you start to build a case against everything. And there's a whole judge and jury in your head. It's like, you know what, man? Like, you need to, first of all, fuck that guy and fuck her too. And also, like, you should be doing this. And also, that guy's got a better car than you. And why can't you have like one joint? Like all that kind of bullshit. And that chorus, it lives in my head. So I have to, I gotta stay pretty regular. Yeah. But hold on, I want to back up because the cause thing, right? Mm. The wife gets you a cause doll for your 10th sobriety anniversary.
So that must be like 9 years ago. Yeah.
9 years ago. She gets it at the wholesale price of like 6 racks.
Yeah.
So from the manufacturer.
I think it was 4 racks and another grand to bring in or something.
5 racks, which is like, sick that someone's spending 5 racks on you for a gift. That's dope.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Oh yeah.
If it was a watch, a necklace, I'd be blown away. Yeah. Right. But B, the value in this thing is just it's now at 250 to 300 racks.
And I remember someone telling me someday it's going to be worth like $250,000 easy. And I was like, really, for vinyl? It's because it's not even like bronze or whatever. It's a vinyl sculpture. A vinyl toy. But I guess
it's mind numbing. That idea of not knowing when to get out, because if you get out now, everyone's going, get out now, fucking sell it. And then like 5 years from now, it's like, 1 point. Hey! Allergies.
Less.
I got them too.
Yeah.
5 years from now, it's like, oh, now it's 1.2. I need a fucking Zyrtec. I was offering you a Zyrtec.
Well, they say the same thing about my Impalas too. The 59 Impalas have skyrocketed out of all the Impalas, you know? And the only reason why I like the 59 Impalas is because being that I'm half Chinese, you know, it's the only car with the kind of tilted eyes, like chinky. I call it the chinky eyes. So that's the reason I got it.
I was wondering where you're going with being half Chinese.
I just didn't know it was going to be the most expensive
car
out of the Impala fleet. You know?
Right.
So, you know, so now I'm working on 4 right now. And
you have 4 of them.
Yeah.
And you just...
I got my eye on 2 more, you know, but my wife thinks I'm like out of my...
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you're buying things that are appreciating in value, unlike most investments like that. Like most lowriders aren't appreciating value. But I will say this: they are going to outlaw gas cars by 2035 or something. Like you're not going to be able to buy a car that uses gas. So they're going to stop making anything. Like they're definitely never making that shit again, obviously. But they're going to. Is it 2035? Look at that. Look at the fact boy.
Yeah.
They're going to start outlawing gas powered cars. So I just feel like if you have a classic car and it's well maintained, the value is going to be immeasurable because they're going to be like, those are museum things.
Yeah,
like
the rag is already doubled, you know.
That's crazy.
The hardtop maybe not so much, but if I put a little money into it, it would. But the beauty of it is I enjoy it. I drive my shit.
You drive your shit.
I drive it.
But it's got to be nerve wracking.
And especially the last car I got, we call her Blue. But that one it's a fucking show car, you know. It's a Southside show car, you know. It was, now it's mine, and now I renamed her Blue, but it was called El Junior before, and it won all these awards like undercarriage, super, like engraved, like it's called El Junior.
Is it on the internet anywhere that he can find it?
If you look up El Junior 59 Impala.
But you don't drive that one.
I drive the shit out of it.
You do?
Yeah. Like people trip. They're like, dude, you roll this like it's like like your.
You just take it to the store and shit?
Yeah, sometimes.
Don't you get freaked out?
You know, no, because it's insured.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all of
it's insured, but like if something happens, it's gonna be in the shop for 47 months, right? Like
yeah.
Like they'll sit on that thing.
Yeah, but that's her right there. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So it's like that, but the patterns are gone because the guy that got it from him like took the patterns off, so it looks more OG now.
Wow.
But it's beautiful. Like every like nut and bolt is like chromed and engraved and like it's bananas. You know, I'm just feel so blessed to be in a position to even acquire that car and put in my collection, you know.
And you have to have do you keep all these things in a special place, like a special garage?
Yeah, I mean, it's not temperature controlled or anything yet, but we're working on it, you know?
Wow.
But yeah, that's the other thing is owning these things, and you have to have a space to actually keep it and, you know, and have it maintained, you know, and serviced and things like that. So it's definitely an expensive hobby.
And your office is in Gardena area, right? Where my old place was.
Yeah, don't say the address, please. But
no, I won't say. I won't say. No.
But yeah,
not trying to Google you. No, but let's say the Gardena area.
Yes. Yeah. I say Compton, Gardena, because we're like in the unincorporated LA, like in between on the border.
Yeah.
So
people must trip every time you pull that shit out, right? They're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Right? They're just pulling up to a gas station and like, you got to have a conversation every fucking 2 miles, right?
Yeah, that's why my wife don't like to roll in it because it's like, it's kind of nerve wracking, I guess, when you're rolling and people are honking and they're like, you know.
Yeah, honking at
like
you.
Old white ladies throwing their panties at me and shit, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, I remember losing my virginity in that shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so, I mean,
in that specific car at the drive-in.
Yeah, so there's that.
Okay, everybody. So this is the Powerful Truth Angels. Today on our show, we have Slick One. I would say in the pantheon of Los Angeles graffiti, probably a legendary writer to most. Definitely, you know, first of all, did you do any research on Slick?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about, what can you tell us about Slick? What do you know about Slick?
He's a graffiti, well, dude, I don't know if you're current, but The graffiti artist, known for his graffiti, and contemporary artist as well.
He's a graffiti artist known for his graffiti.
Well, yeah, look, man, I'm scrambling here.
Isn't that the point?
Spot.
That was the point.
I'm just fucking with him. I try to tell him to do research on guests, and he never does until like 5 minutes before.
No, I looked him up, man.
But luckily, I know who Slick is.
Okay.
I know who Slick is.
Well, thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're on.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people my age will know who you are, and a lot of people not my age, a lot of historians will know who you are. I will say that the first thing that comes to mind, and like, listen, after all this time, I spent a large portion of my life dedicated to doing graffiti. Graffiti has influenced my life to this very day because obviously I can reach out to a guy like you, have you on my show, and I know what I'm talking about. It's influenced every facet of my entire life, no matter what I do. It's just part of my life in a really weird way. I didn't choose for it to be that way, but to this day, like I'm still like doing throw up, like drawing graffiti, like fucking around for fun, like just it's still in me so much. I don't go out and bomb anymore, but it's still a part of my whole fucking everything, right? But I also am able to look back at all of that time and not take it as seriously as I took it when I was a kid. Because when we were kids, we took this shit very seriously.
Oh, for real though.
Yeah. And I know that, and as a result of that, there were beefs. Like I know you had some legendary beefs with people. Everyone did. If you were a graffiti writer of any note, you had beef, right? That was part of the game. And I just want to say the first thing that comes to mind that most people that know who Slick is like, they're just going to talk about the Slick Hex battle, right? That you guys were at the time the top dogs in town, and you guys had this battle, and it was super publicized, and it was like this event, right?
It turned into an event.
It turned into an event. And if you can pull up Slick Hex battle, was there one or two?
There's two battles.
There's two battles.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first one was at Belmont.
The first one was at Belmont. I remember this. I remember Can Control covered it, right?
Yeah.
They put it on the publication. Yeah. And if you guys don't know what a battle is, it's just like two writers. Sometimes it's crew versus crew battling on a wall, or sometimes it's writer versus writer. And this is how, and I don't think people do this anymore, but this is how writers would settle the beefs. Yeah. And they would just split a wall in half and paint and just basically try to rip each other via painting. Yeah. And I remember yours was like, I don't know if it was one or two, but you did a character of him coming out of a Jack in the Box. That was
number two.
That was number two, the hoax one.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we rewind, if we go even further back, we go to the first one at Belmont. Yeah. In my defense, I didn't even know it was a battle. Honestly. You didn't know? Okay. I thought it was just, this guy Hex wanted to paint with me. Right. And at that time, I used to paint with whoever wanted to go paint. Like, I just loved to fucking paint. Yeah. Even though I was killed to succeed, but I would paint with like Risky. Yeah. And me and him were aerosolics when we painted because he was from WCA. But I just love to paint. I painted with Green, with Dream. Like those are my dogs, right? So this guy Hex wanted to paint, and let's say like, yeah, let's paint. Let's do it. Let's rock some shit at Belmont. He goes, you take this half, you take this half. And this kid, I remember this little kid, Sid, brought me his outline, and it was a TSO piece, and it was for taking Slick out. And because the name of his crew is TGO. So I was like, oh, TSO, okay, taking Slick out. Until then, I already started my painting, and I had painted this little character with the little with the dude sitting on this like stone throne, all lit, and next to his pet scorpion. Yeah. That was already painted. So I had already painted that. When the kid brought me his outline, they're like, "Oh, Slick, he wants to. This is a battle."
Wait, so someone from his side?
No, he was just a kid that hung out at
just
Belmont.
A random kid from Belmont.
Yeah, I remember his name was Sid.
Did he write Sid, or his name was Sid?
His name was Sid. And he stole his outline.
He stole
because you leave it on the by your cans or whatever. He brought it to me and showed me. He was like my spy, right? He went in and he was like, "Yo, Slick, this is what he's gonna do." And Hex didn't really paint much up until then because he started with backgrounds. So right off the bat, I thought he was cheating because he went with like rollers and like knocked out his background. Where I go in with spray paint. I was such an idiot. I was such an aerosol purist that it had to be all from the spray can.
Right. You couldn't roll it. I thought like
rolling buff paint was cheating in my book, you know? Yeah. And just like these little rules we make up in our head and stuff, But so I had already started with this scorpion and stuff. And then when I found out it was a battle, what happened was I looked at what he was painting, and he had painted a castle with a rat running, which I guess was his, like, you see that castle? Yeah. It was his it was his pet rat running to the castle. So what I did was, I was like, oh yeah? So I took that, I did my scorpion. And if you notice outside the scorpion, I just put like rat tracks out of the scorpion's mouth with just the tail hanging out. And so what happened was, that was my kind of like subtle jab at him. Like, my scorpion was devouring his pet rat.
Right.
So, and then he came back the next day and then did like a Medusa character, like riding on top of a scorpion, like killing her, I mean, killing, and that was my pet because I had a pet scorpion back then named Bertha.
Oh, you had a real scorpion?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I took it really personal. I was like, he's going to like kill,
Yeah.
he's going to kill Bertha like that.
Yeah.
So I came back and I did like a Medusa on site right there. I did a sketch and I did a Medusa like a executioner cutting off his Medusa head.
Right.
Like holding, so it just went back and forth back then. And then it was crazy because as the days went on, more and more people started showing up.
Right.
More and more people like this because there's no, social media or anything.
Yeah.
So there's word of mouth, people started coming and selling shit there. And like, I mean,
like
I know I'm embellishing a little, but I feel like they were selling like hot dogs and shit by the end of the thing. And, but taco truck, I don't know, but it got blown into a big event.
Well, it was over a couple of days, right?
Yeah, it was a whole week. And then we had to end it. So we're like, so I just asked him, I was like, oh, so, TSO, did you take Slick out? And he's like, nah, I don't think so. And I was like, all right, I won then. And I just left. And then that was it. And then Risky came later and was like, oh, we want to get some pictures for Can Control. Let me do like a aerosolic piece right next to it because we were doing aerosolics. And I was like, fuck yeah, throw it on there. So till this day, a lot of people are like, well, Risky helped you with letters and this and that, but Risky wasn't even part of the battle. That was like an after thing. We just took pictures for Can Control, you know? But yeah, that was the thing. They said I didn't bust letters, but I didn't have to. I just did a big S in the brick wall that was burning through the wall. I was like, because I don't know.
Wow.
That was that.
So, and then what was Aerosolic? That was another little crew, right? Aerosolics?
Well, it wasn't. It's basically because Risky was from WCA and I was from K2S.
Yeah.
And out of respect to the crews, like, Risky wanted me to join WCA. And I was like, I can't, because they were the first crew I met when I came to Los Angeles.
Right.
And I was like, I've always showed loyalty, to my crew. But I was like,
K2S.
Yeah. But I was like, whenever we painted together, we did like this little like neutral thing called Aerosolics, which was just me and Kelly,
Got you. K2S is hard.
But
it's like, damn, that era too. And I'm going to sound like a lame old person, but like, I feel like that era, the crews around in that era were like heavy. K2S, KSN, WCA, even before we came on the scene, the guys that we looked up to, legendary, TCF, UTI, like these guys were just like, I don't know.
Before I even moved to Cali, I heard K2S and WCA had a battle down in Belmont Tunnel. There was a big battle, and then Prime kind of served everybody in WCA because up until then, I feel like WCA styles were direct derivatives of like an East Coast sort of style, like the way they filled in, the way the letter shapes were, the bars and everything, the arrows and things like that, where Prime just came out of left field. And I think it's because of his gang roots or whatever, and the block letters and all this. His letters were kind of like more blocky and geometric,
right,
and like solid, and like it was crazy. Like for Prime's piece at that time, it was just crazy. Because up until then, like I said, it was more like an East Coast sort of vibe,
Yeah.
So I got to give it up to K2S.
So then after that, okay. First of all, let me back this up a little more. Where did you come from originally?
Honolulu. Hawaii.
Oh, okay. So you're a Hawaii boy.
Yeah.
Okay. So you came here from Hawaii,
and I came here to stop doing graffiti. Like that was because I made a deal with the folks, because I was catching heat in Hawaii at the time, because I was pretty active. That I was gonna come to LA and go to school and not do graffiti anymore.
How old were you?
This is 18.
18.
Yeah, 1980.
Right. You're already like, I'm 18. It's time to hang it up. I'm washed.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm gonna go to LA where there's no graffiti.
Yeah. So the funny part is, I wanted to get into Art Center at the time, but Art Center was saying that my foundation wasn't strong enough. They said we need to see more like life drawing and such.
Yeah.
So I went to Otis for a term.
Right.
To brush up on my foundation.
Right.
And on my lunch breaks, I would go to MacArthur Park.
Right.
And MacArthur Park, there was this thing called the band shell.
Yeah.
And that's where the crew were like K2S and STN cats were down there like rocking this shit, and I was just like, holy shit, this is how they get down over here.
Yeah.
And so I ended up meeting the crew, and you know, I kind of gravitated to them because it was dope because they kind of look like me in a way, because being of mixed descent, you know, Asian and white mix, you know, and a lot of them were like, they look Asian and stuff, but they're actually like full like cholos and shit, you know, but they're Asian. They look like me, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of,
there's a couple Asian, half Asian cholo, like who did that shit? Was it, I remember this one thing, like not maybe 10, 15 years ago, where it was like half Japanese, half cholo shit. It was like a big mural. It was a K2S one. It was mind-boggling. I don't know who did it.
Oh yeah, that was us.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was you guys, but I can't remember specifically. But it was like the characters were like samurai style.
Yeah, if you look up it was a 7 samurai from the Far East side. You know,
7 samurai from the Far East side. Google that. While you Google that, so you came in. So you come into LA to quit graffiti is like me going to like Colombia to quit doing coke, right?
Yes.
You're just like,
yes.
What the fuck is like? You're like, I'll go somewhere where they don't do. Yeah, that shit was fucking hard.
So
blow that up, Jason.
You know what's crazy is that
shit's
when
hard.
that Dada show came up, they threw all the graffiti writers on the roof for that exhibit.
Yeah.
Because they're like, let's just give the writers the roof, you know, and they didn't give us much play in the actual exhibit, which was like a 6-story exhibit.
Yeah.
But I think we killed the roof, you know what I mean? Like we took it to the next, you know, like, you know, each crew got like a little section of wall around the swimming pool.
And is that what's his face up top?
That's Prime. So
Prime did the type up top. It looks.
No, this is actually
what's his name?
That's Chaz.
Yeah, Chaz.
So he was honorary K2S for this exhibit.
Fuck.
But what's so crazy is that the first character I painted was Relic right here on the left.
Yeah.
And it started out real traditional, like Japanese woodblock.
Yeah.
But as I was doing the characters, they started looking more and more like the crew, just because I was a character guy, and I always injected my characters into everything. So there's me, there's Gaijin, there's Duke, there's Prime.
Damn.
And then there's Temp right there.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. Sorry about that, bro.
See, the old days that would have been a beef for life.
Right.
They'd be like, he set me up.
Well, honestly, because even I was telling Mikey before I came here, I was like, you know what? I haven't talked to Two-Tone in a minute. You know what I mean? So I didn't know where we stood, because the last conversation I had with you was like a weird text about some t-shirt bullshit So I was just like,
I might have been loaded at the time.
So I was like,
I apologize.
So no, it's understandable to protect your, you know, what you guys created and stuff. You know, I get it, but I don't know where I stood with you.
Yeah.
So that's why when I got the call to come up here, I was like, okay.
This is it. No, you never know.
I was like, hey, Mikey. I was like, you know, maybe you should roll up with me. You know what I mean? Like, because you know, you don't know. You know what I mean?
No,
listen.
And
I'm happy that it's this.
No,
and just the chair that you set me up with, and that's the extent of it. And
I wish I was that. I wish I was cool enough to set up in a chair that exploded.
Like 15 minutes into the interview. Yeah.
It's funny because I did remember, I was like, I haven't talked to Slick in a while. I'm like, and I had this hazy memory of being mad about like some t-shirt graphic, which is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I remember, the last thing I think was like this, like talk, but I was also like, no excuse. I was loaded at the time.
Yeah.
I think I was in Hawaii and I was fucking off my face for like a little period of time. I relapsed. I apologize to come at you that way.
Because I don't know if you noticed, but I have a little store called Big Dick's Hardware.
Yeah.
Because I kind of got out of the streetwear game. It was too like bananas. So I got a little. It's called Big Dick's Hardware. We sell spray paint, and I make some cool shirts every so often. One of them was like kind of like a parody off you guys' shit. And I guess you caught wind of it or something. I didn't even release it. I think I just did like an IG post on it or something. Yeah. And you were like quick to put the smash on it. And I was just like, and I was just like, oh, it wasn't no disrespect or nothing like that. I was just like, I like you guys' aesthetic. You guys shit's hot, man. It's like, you got to be worried if no one's biting your shit.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
See, that reminds me. After the second battle, I think it was Reese who made the cartoon about the battle. Was that Reese?
No, it wasn't Reese. It was I know which one you're talking about.
And that
it was what's that kid's name from he's part of the
not Reese.
No, it wasn't Reese.
Not Realm. No, that's not his style.
Was it Realm?
No.
No,
I sure it wasn't Reese.
I know it wasn't Reese because
somebody did a parody of the battle I think it was in Can Control, one of those magazines.
It showed like my ex-girlfriend with the big titties and
yes.
all that. Yeah.
She's putting like sunscreen on your nose, and there's like the news is there, and it was making fun of how publicized the second battle was.
Yeah, because it was for the media and all this shit.
Right.
And that's why I didn't want to do it.
Right.
Because I already won the first battle.
Right.
So when they asked me to battle him for the second time on television, I was like, nah, I'm cool. I was like, I already won. Right. I got nothing to gain from this. Then Hex was going to battle somebody else.
Right.
Like a mock battle.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, why should this other person, get fame? I was like, fuck, I'll battle him again. Fuck it. It was kind of like that. So the second battle, I took him really lightly. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I already served him once, like, what is he going to come with? Some portraits or something like that? I was like, ooh, like, I wasn't even like tripping, like, yeah. Like, but he ended up staying all night with their camera crew and finished his shit. So when I came the third day, his shit was done.
Oh, wow.
Not to mention he's using the rollers and stuff. So he was getting a lot of space covered, right?
Right.
And at that time, I was still Mr. Aerosol purist, like I was like using the little Krylon cans and it was bananas.
And what happened? And so that...
So second one, I lost.
Oh, you lost.
On national television, right? And so for years after that, like I'd be in the mall or something and somebody would be like, aren't you that Hex guy? No, you're Slick, the one that lost to the Hex guy on national... I'm just like... Ooh, like, first of all, it's none of their fucking business, right?
Yeah.
And,
they have no idea what they're talking about.
They have no idea what they're talking about. But then, now I'm the loser guy. And then they made me look like such a, because they caught me right when they announced that I lost.
Yeah.
And I remember that my line was like, you'll always be a hoax to me. Like I stormed off with my spray paint and shit. This is like, pre like reality TV shit, you know?
Slick, who didn't finish his piece, was frustrated and vented his anger.
You'll always be a hoax to me. All right? His art is beautiful and all, but to me, that ain't what the art's all about.
Pre-reality TV, that we communicated with magazines. That's how I saw shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Trading pictures. And I was just
yeah.
telling him on the way up here, like, because we were talking about Ram LZ and he used to do International Graffiti Times. Mm-hmm. And he had pictures of my stuff in New York when I was in Hawaii. And I was like, but it's because everyone used to trade pictures. We send pictures to each other. Yeah. So, that's how it was. There was no social media.
I mean, we send pictures and like you would learn things word of mouth. I remember there's a dude in our crew named Agent and he was from Chicago and he came to LA and he was like, he showed us how to mix paint because you couldn't buy, the only paint was Rust-Oleum and Krylon, right? Yeah. And if you're some weirdo, you use some weird cheap silver once in a while. But and he showed us how to mix paint together to make, because it was either that or you get dead talk colors, icy gray, jungle green. We talked about that, right? And the way you would do it, because now no one would do this because it's fucking stupid, but you take one can. And you don't have to put one can in the fridge. You take one can, you leave it out. You take another can and you put it in a boiling pot of water and you get the WD-40 cap with a straw in between the two and you make the hot one spray into the one that's not hot because the pressure rises in the hot one, okay? So I would sit there and mix colors in my apartment and I also would make noodles out of the same fucking pot. So the pot had after a certain point of water, it was just covered in paint, and I'll cook the noodles in the bottom because I just didn't give a shit.
We didn't do the boiling; we did the freezer technique.
You did the freezer technique,
yeah. So it was the other way around.
The other way around,
yeah. But still, the same theory. Right?
And it's got to be dangerous to boil a fucking spray can. Like there's no, like that shit could, like it's just dumb the things that we did like with impunity as a kid because you don't have any sense of like, and even just the toxicity of all that shit. Like it's so that's what we used to do. It's so dumb.
You know, it's crazy. Like I remember sending photos and, coming up, you jock certain people, whatever. And it's like, so I was fanboying out meeting Scene,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So fast forward to, this is growing up in Hawaii. Like I love Scene stuff, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Then I met him and I actually gave him some photos of some work that I did at the band shell, at MacArthur Park, which was a spray can playing a saxophone.
Right.
And it was funny because my boy Charlie, he was like showing me this video and it was like of Scene selling these t-shirts.
Yeah.
And it was like my character of the can playing the saxophone on one of Scene's shirts.
Oh, no
and I was
shit.
like, what the fuck? Like that was a big slap, reality slap was like, don't jock like that. First off, you know what I mean? And be careful who you send your shit to.
Don't meet your heroes, right?
Yeah, right? And because Charlie was like, he was accusing me of biting it from scene.
Right.
And I was like, no, well, that's that shit I painted at MacArthur Park.
Yeah.
And he had put it on a shirt and,
right.
Probably redrew it, whatever. But I was just like, okay, that's,
And sometimes in scenes, I don't know the man, but sometimes in scenes defense, sometimes you can bite things subconsciously.
I've done that.
We've all done it. We've all been like painted something and like, oh fuck.
I'm guilty of that. Of it was actually a 101 board I did for I think it's Eric Costin. It was actually a like this kind of hillbilly-ish monster like ripping off Mickey Mouse's ears, and I painted it like 20 feet high on World Industries, and then we took a picture. Nodis took a picture and put it on a ironically, it's called a slick bottom, right? It was when they first came out with slick bottom skateboards. Yeah. But it's funny because I thought I totally came up with that concept. Yeah. To swear up and down, that was my shit. You know? And if you look up Eric Costin skateboard, is it 101 or Plan B? I forgot what the fuck it was. It's so long ago. But it was like a Mickey character with a little, there's the board. So I thought I came up with it, but then my boy Genius, from TDK or DTK. Yeah. He was like, dude, you saw that in my sketchbook, huh? And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I still didn't click. Yeah. And then he showed me the sketchbook and I was like, oh man, my bad. I mean, of course, it's my style. Yeah. It's totally different from his. Yeah. But the idea was totally from Genius. Yeah. And I didn't even realize it.
And you feel when you do that, and when you apologize, you still feel like you're lying because you just like, there's no way this guy believes me right now that I did this accidentally. You still feel like,
no, for sure.
Yeah, you're trying to defend yourself and you're like, no, I really didn't do this on purpose. But they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, but that's the homie. He knew. And, like I was sincere about it. And, but yeah, it's just weird how the mind can block something out and it's just think it's your own shit.
Here's another.
I love that artist right there. The one that's sitting on dude's face.
Yeah.
He passed away, right?
He passed away. Yeah.
Oh, I need to.
I'm glad I got one of those.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. So also another memorable moment for me was the Who's the Mac video. Right? Okay. That was you and
so I got
Risky, right?
Yeah. So when I got hired to do that, it was actually it was because of the battle. So because of the second battle, one of the directors was watching the battle. Okay. And he was actually, Thomas Stern and his name was Thomas Stern and Alex Winter. Mm-hmm. So Alex Winter, a lot of people know from the Lost Boys. Yeah. And
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Bill and Ted's, right?
Yeah, so that's Ted, right?
They were directing a lot of videos. So I did Red Hot Chili Peppers Taste of Pain and Who's the Mac through them. Okay. And then Kelly came in. Dude, because we're rocking the whole Belmont tunnel. So Kelly came in and, of course, first thing he rocked was a big Risk piece. You know what I mean? But the funny part about that one was that we're doing like a roll call. Like, Cube wanted us to hit up like different people in the crew and everything.
The lynch mob.
Yeah. And then Kelly wrote, did he write Cuck D instead of Chuck? Oh, D? Like he forgot the H in the Chuck. So that was like the big we're like and that one I was so high too, like I didn't finish it. That's why if you see the pimp car in there, like it was like half done.
It like trails off a little bit, right?
Yeah,
that was that motor. Yeah,
that was that motor. And that was that era, when I was getting high and stuff. So
it was still hard as fuck. I mean, look at that.
Thank you. Oh yeah, that's my little
shit's hard.
Attempt at portrait of Ice Cube right there with the pimp dude right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it like after, and I remember seeing it slowly get fucking tagged on and shit. Yeah. But I remember like shortly after going to the motor and seeing that piece. This was actually a really good music video at the time. Like music videos weren't this in depth. Like this music video has like 3 different, whatever. I'm not going to go in depth on this thing, but it's a good music video. Like they put Cube on the dolly and he's like riding next to the car. And
Cube remembers it because I talked to him not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Because we were talking about working on a project. Yeah. And he was saying he remembers this video in particular because I think it was his first music video, Departure.
From NWA?
From NWA.
Fuck.
So he goes, of course I remember that shit, So I got pictures of us all like smoking a fatty and shit at the wall, you know.
So cool. The way they shot him on the dolly too. I mean, that influenced I've done so many music videos where I put people on the dolly. I mean, it's like such a great gag. And I feel like this has probably got in my head early on because I just like, I would see this on TV.
Yeah.
And and like there's a whole scene where he's like in the bar and he's like, and also DJ Pooh, one of the most like low key funniest.
Do you follow him?
Yeah, of course I do. DJ Pooh is one of the funniest. Shit. Like, he's in, like, look at him. He's fucking. DJ Pooh is one of the most hilarious people. Like all the shit in Friday. Like he helped write Friday. He was fucking. The one character in Friday. Like he's like one of the most underrated comics in my opinion. He had another calling as a comic, I think. So there's so much. Damn, did you see Trump?
Oh shit!
Trump was in there when he
broke Mac.
Fuck.
Right?
And who's that? That's Jerry Falwell, maybe?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
And
Baby Trump.
Tammy Faye Baker? Is that Tammy Faye busted Mac?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Wow.
Remember when this era? Look at fucking Trump.
Crazy.
Holy shit.
Crazy.
He looks like an old hobgoblin there, and that was like 30 years ago. What the fuck?
That's crazy.
That's crazy, man. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much history in your trajectory in LA as a graffiti writer, and I think a lot of people don't know about this is like you were at the beginning of Fuct, right? With Brunetti. Are you guys on good terms now?
Now we are.
Now you are.
Now we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know some of the stories. I've read about some of it. I've heard about some of it, but I know in the
I'm hurt he left me out in the book, but
he did.
I talked to him. I haven't read the book, but I talked to him about it, and he said his attorneys told him not to put me in. Just, I guess, I don't know if it's because they don't want me coming back and trying to get some or whatever.
Right.
But for whatever reason, he left me out of his history.
Right.
Which I feel is really unfair because the part that I was involved in was the crucial history of Fuct.
Right.
So when I met Brunetti, I met him at that one wall on, was it in Santa Monica? The Synergy building.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So he was painting that Synergy building, and Risky was like, "Hey, let's go help Dan." It's Dan and Sever.
Sever.
To go paint this wall, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go." And me and Kelly were just having the falling out in Third Rail, but we're still cool. But I didn't want to do Third Rail anymore.
Oh, you were part of Third Rail too.
Yeah. So
in the beginning,
Dante and Kelly started Third Rail.
Okay.
But Kelly's dad got involved, and me and Dante backed out.
Right.
So we're like, okay, Kelly, you just run it, whatever. So I was looking for something, and then that's when I ran into Dan.
Yeah.
And he was painting that wall at Synergy, and he was like, he was showing me his portfolio, and he had these like dope ass cartoon characters, I think called Disposable Heroes. And then I saw he did like a Marky Mark album cover, and he was doing some some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is dope. I was like, you're pretty sick. And he's like, yeah, we should hook up forces and become a graphics company. Right. And I was like, okay, like dope. So we started thinking of all kind of names of, like what are we gonna call this graphic alliance, Yeah. And then he was, as I noticed in his book, he had Fuct in there, right? Yeah. And I was like, well, what the fuck is this? And he goes, well, it was this thing I was doing with Nadis, but me and Nadis had a falling out. And Nadis ran to World Industries and started making the big shorts and things like that, and was kind of squeezing Eric out. Right. So I was like, well, I told him, do you still have the registration under your name? And he goes, yeah, I do. So right away we went and re-registered it under me and him under Fuct Graphics. Yeah. And then we did a job, I think, at Rally Studios, which was I think it was like 6 Gs or something like that. And we kept the G each, I remember, and we left 4 Gs in there, and we made the Ford Fuck shirts. Oh yeah. And we made Ford stickers. Yeah. Those decals. Yeah. That was the first thing me and Brunetti did together. Wow. As Fuct Graphics. Right. And I was like, fuck that. Let's just take it back from Rocco then. And because I felt like they couldn't hang because we were stronger graphically. Yeah. So one of the first albums we did was the Far Side album. Oh yeah. As the roller coaster. Yeah, the roller coaster. Yeah, so that was our first ride to the Far Side. First big gig, as a graphics. So you see on that cover, it says Slick and Eric, and on the back it says by Fuct Graphics, because we are a graphic company. That's right. And the first store we sold clothing to was actually Extra Large on Vermont. Right. I remember bringing that box fresh from the printer. Was the Ford Fuck shit, and it was that and the stickers, and that's what Eli carried, and then the rest was history. But I mean, we started going back and forth with Rocco and Nadis for a little bit, And then me and my boys went and shut that shit down in person. You
Right.
know?
Oh, okay.
And where Rocco didn't want to fuck with it no more.
You guys went in on some other shit.
Yeah, we
But different time.
it was different time.
Yeah.
And that, and then me and Bernetti started blowing the fuck up. Like,
Right.
And I think what the good combination of me and Bernetti was, he was more like into punk rock and punk and that aesthetic.
Yeah.
And throw ups and that type of graffiti, where I was more into the hip hop. I was, not really keen on all that shit,
Yeah.
So he hit me to a lot of game on like, rock and punk rock. And I think that combination, it was like yin and yang.
Yeah.
And we were doing some dope shit, you know?
Yeah.
The problem was, I was started to dabble in the go fast, I started to get into like, I was on coke and meth and things like that.
Yeah.
Where he was doing the other side,
Yeah.
going down, So,
Yeah.
we were all on the same page for a long time. And then we started kind of pulling apart, you know?
Right.
And then money started getting in the picture. Like, Japanese, it was hot in Japan, streetwear.
Yeah.
So they were throwing bags of money at us and shit like
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah.
it got a little crazy. We had a store on Beverly, called the Fuct store that we did a collaboration with the extra large guys.
Yeah.
Dude, that store was so before its time. It was dope.
What year was that?
This was maybe 91,
Fuck.
91-ish, 92, but it's called Fuct. So it's funny because we took the extra large ape, but instead of that, we took this little chimp and then we took teeth.
Oh yeah, it was a baby chimp.
Yeah, but we took the teeth like clip art style from this National Geographic of this like Indian lady singing or something, and just slapped it on the ape's mouth and was like, okay, this is extra fuck now, and it's like,
right.
Eli then loved it, and then we opened up our first store, and the whole store was like a deli. I remember we made it like a deli. I got these old deli cases and we got them all chromed out like a car and stuff, and made like a cashier. But we were on Beverly before Beverly was really popping. We just got it in there because it was cheap.
Right.
Now it's too crazy.
Yeah.
But the crazy story about Extra Fucked was right next door was this guy, I forgot, he used to make like denim for like the rock stars and all that shit, like the high end like leather denim. And then Gabor made all the jewelry, all the silver, jewelry. They were next door to the Fuct office, right? Because it was our office and the store.
Yeah.
So apparently we had a break-in one day and we're like, how the fuck did they get into our spot? So they broke in through their place, broke the wall, and stole a bunch of t-shirts from our store,
Oh, shit.
All they took was t-shirts. But the guys next door were tripping out because they had like $2,000 pairs of jeans and like, $10,000 wallet chains and all this shit. And he's like, they didn't touch shit. They came in strictly for the fuck shit.
Whoa.
So they were kind of like tripping out on who the fuck we were, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's how streetwear was back then. You know what I mean? Like we were rubbing noses with like, celebs and shit. You know what I mean? Like Gene Simmons would like walk into the store or like, it was
I remember there was he did a whole Kiss thing too. Maybe that was after you left.
No, that was me and him.
That was when you were there,
if you notice one of the Kiss graphics, both of us are Gene's. That's when it was started the downfall of us. Like one of the graphics was an album cover and right there, it was there's me on the left and him on the right, but we were both arguing to be who's going to be Gene Simmons because nobody wanted to be, nobody wanted to be Starman, right? So we're like, no, I'm Gene Simmons. So we kind of translated that onto the shirt, that's us arguing. So, but that was kind of like our downfall already because the egos and money and like I said, the drugs in the mix didn't help.
Right.
But I always loved Eric's aesthetic and his he was dope. He was super dope. It's just that at a certain point, like his humor wasn't, because people used to tell me, how can you be partners with, he's such an asshole, he's a dick. And that, I used to hear that all the time, but I thought it was humorous, because I appreciated the humor in it. But after a while, I guess it took its toll, and people saying that shit kind of ate at me too, it starts to get in your head like, oh, Slick, you can do it without him, or you know what I mean? And then egos and shit like that. And
also all the drugs too.
All the drugs. But the truth of the matter, we're a deadly combo. I think that, but
it's that energy is like, that energy of partnerships, it creates this energy and a lot of times it destroys itself.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot and it's like, and also like things happen, people get, egos change. Like in the very beginning when it's pure and there's nothing involved, it's like everyone's just like, you're just working together, boom, boom, nothing, there's no money. It's like, let's fucking go, because it's all abstract. It's like, fuck it, we're doing something cool. And then,
I hear that happens to a lot of bands and stuff like that too.
It's the same. Yeah, it's everything.
But it's such a shame because like I said, I loved working with them. Like we came up with some dope shit. And the ending was nasty. I mean, where he was shooting at me. Like it got nasty, but
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I'll save that for my book. But
you don't want to talk about. Wait, you can't gloss over that. What do you mean? She took a shot at you?
Well, because in both of our minds, we thought we were protecting Fuct.
Right.
Because in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna secure this. I'm gonna secure the computers. I'm gonna secure this because I knew shit was going south.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so did he. So he took all the computers and everything went to his house.
Fuck.
So I still needed to work. So I just wanted one computer so I could still do graphics. Right?
Yeah.
So I went to his house to go get it with one of my boys, and I guess he felt there was a threat, or like that we were trying to jack him, which. I guess in hindsight he could see that.
You brought a henchman like you brought Mikey today.
Yeah. So this fool was like blasting at us, and so I dropped the computer, and burnt out.
Yeah.
So it got crazy, you know what I mean? And and I'm sure we're inside. If he wanted to kill me, he could have like point blank put at my head. He said he shot it in the ceiling.
Yeah.
So so I gotta believe him on that note. I don't think he wanted to kill me, but it was crazy times,
So crazy. It's fucking Wild West.
But if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have hooked up with Jeff Hartzell.
Right.
So with Jeff Hartzell, we did a brand called Shaolin after that.
Oh yeah, Shaolin.
So I loved Shaolin because now I was in my house because we were fucking with the kung fu shit, the hip hop shit, punk rock shit, all with skate.
I forget that Hartzell was involved with that.
Yeah, he was my partner for Shaolin. So
when I was a kid, I would watch Hartzell. When I just grew up in Venice, right?
Yeah.
And there was this, there was one of these steel pylon,
the
pole.
Yeah.
And it was bent.
Yeah.
And I watched him.
Which one you're talking about.
And he would just skate up to it and ride and launch off it all day.
Yeah.
It was like he would skate up to the pole, grind up off of it, and just catch fucking 3 feet of air.
Yeah.
It was dreads everywhere.
That was his pole right there.
Yeah, that was his pole. I remember seeing that and being like, God damn it! I wish I never got it together.
You see the ads
skating.
right there? Like we were doing parodies on. That's like a parody on a DC shoe ad,
Right.
And we'd parody all kind of shit that we loved, Like there's one ad where it has like Grandmaster Flash, but it has the Chinese Grandmaster, but he's actually in a wheelchair, but I have him look like he's spinning. It says Shaolin and it says Grandmaster cuts faster. It's like. We had so much fun with that.
Different time. It was like everything was still at that time. The magazines, the clothing, like it was still all in control of the kids.
But what's crazy is that we were just doing it. You know, like I didn't have a business degree.
Yeah.
I left Art Center to do Fuct. So I didn't even get my art degree.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like none of us had business degrees. We just loved art and we're making shit that we felt there was a void for. So that's why we were making it. Being said, we didn't have our business degrees, so the business sides were fucked, you know? So even with the Shaolin and stuff, before we could get our shit together, which we should have blew the fuck up. Yeah. But you already had like the Drunken Monkeys and things like that, like people like that who are garmentos, stealing at our aesthetic and just running with it.
Yeah.
Then we just look like we're copying them, but like that was like the story of my life for a long time.
The Garmentos are like the bad guys in all these stories, right? They're just lurking in the shadows and they see an idea and they're like, we have the fucking entire machine ready. Like these kids are cool.
Yeah.
We'll take 10% of what they did and drop it in and just go, press go. And all of a sudden you turn like 2 years later and they're at like 900 million.
Yeah.
You're like, what
burnt
the fuck?
it the fuck out. And then you're just like, you're still trying to launch your first season. And I mean,
we're just most streetwear, right? At least it was this way. It's not that way anymore. But streetwear, from when I was around it, was usually just like, I mean, I guess a lot of clothing is like this, but it's just some guys getting together, all kinds of different personalities, a lot of crazy people, right? It attracts all kinds of crazy people because you can just take a graphic, you can put it on a t-shirt and you can just sell it. And anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Anyone can fucking get a blank and source, like you can figure it out pretty quickly. Yeah. It's not rocket science. Yeah. And it attracts a certain kind of personality. And for a while it was really interesting and like, it's still interesting, but it's also very fucking like, there's a lot of money on the table now, and it's really heavily commodified.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now it's like carved out after all this time. Like in high school, I remember being the first wave, right?
Well, selling out was bad when we were in,
Right,
you know? We were
right.
like, we got offered chain stores and
Yeah,
mall stores, and we're like, nah.
Fuck no, yeah.
We're fucking too cool to be in this store.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, anything with the word urban or anything like that, nope. You
Yeah.
know, like that
Yeah.
was like our rules, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But now it's like,
There's no such thing.
no such fucking
There's no such thing
like,
as sellout.
everyone's like trying to grab the bag. you
Well,
know?
even from when Born and Raised started 10 years ago, there was a sellout thing that we wouldn't do. Like we were like, well, we're not going to go in here. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do this. And 10 years later, it's like no one gives a shit. And actually, people are happy if they see you get a bag.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
you should work with fucking McDonald's.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Back in the day, I would be like, I would never fucking do that.
That's fucking bananas. I mean,
crazy.
I mean, Supreme with the Louis and all
Yeah.
that shit. I mean, you know what I mean? These are the big guys that we used to fucking diss hard, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and then when you're going to collab with them, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's-
But, you know,
That's how it. Hey, I mean, at the
but
end
the
of the day,
McDonald's, yeah, it's
you got to pay
bananas.
your bills, right? You know, it's like, and if everyone's playing at that level,
Yeah.
it's either you play at that level or you get left behind. You know, like you can be fucking, you know, chorus poor, man. Like, you know, I shout out to Pat from Ruka, always used to tell me that, you know, and I wouldn't listen. I never listened to him. He'd be like, chorus poor. I'm like, yeah, I get you. And then I go home and be like, fuck this. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this store. I'm not doing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's true, you know, and like you do. And the thing is, it's a brutal, hard business.
Yeah.
Being in clothing, being a streetwear, whatever the fuck it is, it's hard.
Yeah.
It is not like you have to keep reinventing your shit every fucking couple of weeks. There's a lot of pressure. Like it's tough, and it's like, you know, you might as well get some fucking money out of it.
Yeah.
This is not an art project. You know, I'm not a fine artist. You know, so
Well, if I played it right, I felt like I could have sold This Is It for a lot of money, but
Yeah.
we just kind of faded it out. And we're just like I said, we're not that business savvy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where I could
Yeah.
milk every cent out of it, you know?
Yeah.
So we just kind of focused our attentions more on the fine art now. And yeah, that's kind of the direction where I'm kind of taking my career, not so much streetwear, because I see a lot of my counterparts in the fine art lane killing it,
Yeah.
right? And I'm just like, and then I tell myself, why ain't I doing that? Why?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is because I was in streetwear for so fucking long, doing season after season, trying
Yeah.
to be cool guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
it's burnout central. It's like
fucking burnout. Then you
I've
got
burned out so many times in this past 10 years. It's not even count. You can't even count it. I've
Yeah.
burned out and come back so many, like just been like, I can't do
Yeah,
another
yeah.
thing. And then you come back the next day.
Yeah.
I've burned out like fucking probably 10 times. And be
Yeah.
like, I can't, this is fucking ridiculous. And then somehow you just like, all right, you know, so it's grueling. And I respect and admire, and I'm very jealous of fine artists because if I could just be left alone in a room, you know, let's say a warehouse, and I could just paint and listen
Yeah.
to music all day, it's like my dream.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Let me
Yeah.
just fucking do this. I'll hop out and make a film once in a while, but like, let me just sit here instead of just like, you know, I'm dealing with like meetings upon meetings upon meetings and fucking margins and calendar, and this has
Yeah.
to be this day, and what
It's
about this
bananas.
contract and blah blah blah. It's like I had never started. The only reason I've ever started businesses, and I've started a couple, is because I don't want to make a fucking resume. It bugs me out, and I don't want to work for people.
Yeah.
And that's because like not because I'm some fucking honorable smart genius, just because I'm fucked up. And like I don't want to have a boss, and I don't want to make a resume, and I don't want to sit here and fucking tap dance for someone and be like, here's what I can do for you. That's the only reason I started business. But starting a business is a motherfucker.
Oh, I used to tell because my dad is from that old school of thinking like you work hard on, you know, start your way at the bottom and work. And he feels like all artists are like con artists.
Yeah.
But I used to joke with Pops is like, you know, I go, it's a lot of work to stay unemployable. You know? And that was my like ongoing joke with him because like you said, like I'd work my ass off so that no one could hire me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, look, I've had jobs. I worked at Eddie Bauer. I was a plumber's assistant. I worked at Bay City's Deli. I worked at a fucking shoe store. Like I've had jobs.
Yeah.
Like I've done it, and it's grueling. And there's nothing wrong with those jobs.
Yeah.
You know, like
But at least you can go home.
Yes.
And those jobs,
Yes, you get to go
you
home.
can clock out
Yes.
and not think about that job anymore,
Yeah.
which you can't when you're self-employed and with streetwear or whatever, fine artists, you can't clock out.
It never leaves your
It's-
brain. Even like on the weekend, like I try not to work on the weekend unless I have to, because there are weekends where I'm going to work. So I try to have weekends where I fucking, you know, have some balance, but you're still thinking. You're still like, you know, and the text coming, you're like, fuck, okay, I don't want to think about this right now. I just want to like enjoy this day.
Yeah.
And but you know, whatever. I mean, I'm sure your father now is like, you can't say that anymore, right?
Well,
he's like,
he's
you've made a
passed
life
now, but I think, you know, but yeah, he, before he passed, he saw some of the success that I was getting with some of the art stuff. And, you know,
Yeah. After a while, like your parents are like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, oh,
Yeah, my mom's 92.
oh, wow,
And she still paints.
oh, wow,
So we actually did a collaboration together for the sneaker company Li Ning. I took one of her traditional Chinese watercolors and I smashed the shit out of it, like graffiti, and made all her flowers into characters and stuff. And Li Ning loved it because it was the smashing of two cultures, like ancient, traditional Chinese and graffiti,
yeah,
and they put it on apparel.
oh, okay,
And so I was able to cut my mom some fat checks, and she was just like,
That's
"You're
hard.
getting this for
That's
what?
fucking hard.
For messing up my." And then she's seen how quick I messed up her paintings and how many hours it took her to actually do the actual painting.
Yeah.
And now it's worth this, And so
that's tight.
But I go, Mom, that's what we work hard on creating. This, aura of who I am or whatever. Slick the entity.
Yeah. Like you work long enough, and hard enough to where you can just basically catch a tag on something and it's worth something, right? I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. Is that
that's another collaboration I did with Li Ning. I do a lot of work for them the past few years, but a lot of the work I do for Li Ning doesn't see the light of day out here, which is a shame because we do a lot of.
Is it a Chinese company?
Strictly Chinese.
Okay.
But their idea of releasing like a limited pair of shoes is like 30,000 pairs.
Oh my God.
And that's limited.
Oh my God.
I was just like,
what?
Yeah. I was like, okay, like I'm with that.
I love, this is what I love too, is I love when people get the secret bags, right? When people are getting bags that no one knows about, like in China, and they're just quietly being like, yeah, I just did something like that. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Right. I love,
because I see a lot of people, I watch, look at the hype beast or whatever, who's getting play or who's hot, who's not.
Yeah.
And I know some of these guys, as cool as Hypebeast is pumping it up or whatever, they ain't getting the bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've worked with Adidas. I've seen the kind of bags they pay out, on an artist, especially if you're a graph artist. Maybe if you're Yeezy, it's different. But, I wasn't getting that kind of bags. And God bless. I mean, fucking Li Ning, man, they came through during the pandemic and all that shit. And,
that's sick.
Big up to them. And,
that's the cool thing too, is that once you have a body of work, you just never know when the phone's gonna ring. You never know what email you're gonna get.
These LA sculptures and they're like, we want an LN. So I built a giant LN sculpture in their office, a huge one, like 14 feet high, like LN.
Whoa.
And they're just like, they love it. They love it. I feel like sometimes you're more appreciated in other countries than you are here in your own hometown.
And it's easy for you because you've already done the legwork, right? You've already done the work. So you're like, I got one for you. Boom. Let me just fucking
I've been trying to get a 30-foot like LA sculpture in Dodger Stadium for a minute now, but it's like, they don't recognize, you know what I mean? But,
have you ever gotten sweated by Disney?
No, because at the end of the day, they can't register hands.
Okay.
They got the ears unlocked. They got the shorts unlocked and all that shit. But cartoons are cartoon hands. Like I wasn't saying it was Mickey. I never referred to it as Mickey. And the first time I painted the LA hands, if you look, it was actually on a wall in Belmont Tunnel.
Right. And
it was actually a rat like dressed all gangstered out, throwing up the LA. It's on the History of LA book.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's where that LA hands is from. It was never from Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
But people just.
Well, it was a rat, so it's like a reference, right?
I guess. There it is. Yeah. Graffiti LA.
Graffiti LA, yeah.
So that's from a production I did in Belmont Tunnel with Tempt and all of us. That's hard. It was a K2S STN piece, and that was one of the characters.
That's dope.
So that's where the LA hand was originally painted.
Right. Oh,
so it was never like a Mickey thing that a lot of people think. I mean, since then, I painted Mickey with it,
Yeah.
But then the initial one, that's our logo and everything, and that I make the sculptures out, it's all based on that cat right there, Well, not cat, he's a rat.
That rat. So listen, I want to talk to you about, this is a segment I do every show. I don't know why. I think I started doing it because I'm a fat piece of shit and I'm trying to not be fat, right? So I'm always working out. Okay. I mean, you've known me a while, so you've probably seen me at peak fatness before. You see me lumbering around with a few extra pounds on me, right? So I'm fighting those demons all the time, because when you get sober, you can't get high anymore, but you can definitely get high off of cupcakes if you want. So
what are you at right now?
Huh?
What are you at?
I don't know. I don't weigh myself.
I got up to 260 when I first got clean.
Yeah.
270.
Yeah, that's
267.
That's child's play.
Yeah.
I fuck those numbers.
Oh, okay.
I'll blow right through those numbers. But I also, just in my defense, I'm very dense. I'm very muscular.
Okay.
Underneath all the fat.
Okay,
And I know
okay.
all fat guys say that. In my case, it's true. I'm very fucking strong. So watch your mouth, Mikey. Knock it off. Okay. So here's the thing. I have a show called. I have a segment on the show called "What's the fattest thing you did this week?" Now, unfortunately, I got really bad news. I fucked up big time this week. It's been a terrible week for me. And what I did was I'm going to talk about myself first. I went to a screening of Cabin Fever. It was an online ceramics guy did an outdoor screening of that movie, which I actually never saw. I thought I did, but I didn't. And it's like Eli Roth, kind of a campy, like, have you ever seen Cabin Fever?
I may have. Yeah, I think so.
It's great. It's just like, it's like very...
Is it like a lab or something?
No.
Oh,
They're in the
one?
woods.
Okay.
It's a bunch of people and college kids in the woods.
Okay.
And they all get a flesh-eating disease, and it's just chaotic, and it's fucking great, and it's funny. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And so I go there, and you're sitting on bales of hay, and on the way in, they had like 4 tables. Okay. And each table, it was like the candy aisle at Albertsons. It was every candy bar you could ever imagine, just and not the small Halloween size, just the big fucking size, right? And that and sodas and pizza. And like, I try to run a tight ship, and I get there and I say to myself, I'm gonna have a few pieces of candy, right? But because I'm a fucking alcoholic, and also when I see free candy, my brain kind of starts short circuits, because it's like I can buy whatever candy I want in the world. I could live off candy. I could have pallets of candy in this house. No, there's no doubt, right? But when it's free and it's laid out on a table for you to take, you start to become greedy and weird about it. And I start getting the Kit Kats and the Reese's. So that night, which was Friday night, I did have like Kit Kats, Reese's peanut butter cups, Twizzlers, Starburst. I mean, I was going full fucking camp style, like 12-year-old kid hoarding candy, watching this movie. And then on the way out, I was like, holy shit, I didn't see that there were Snickers. Had to have half a Snickers bar. And that set the tone for the entire weekend. And in all fucking honesty, I'm gonna come completely clean. Last night I ordered Jenny's ice cream, 3 pints, and I was doing my little taste test of all 3 pints, and I went in on that. And I'm terribly embarrassed and ashamed of myself. So Slick, what's the worst thing you ate this week?
No, I'm actually pretty good. I'm actually doing pretty good because I battle the same demons as you. I mean, being an addict, and I've been battling my weight thing. Like I said, the largest I got was 267 when I got clean. Yeah. I can't for the life of me get past this. Like I'm at like 210 right now. Yeah. Like 207, 210. And it's just so I'm on these, and I love food, and I love sweets. I love my ribeye, my cowboy steak, and my Wagyu. I love Wagyu. I'm a sucker for Wagyu steak. Yeah. And I love the sweets. So it's a mission. But right now I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm on these like it's called Factor.
You're on meal delivery.
The meal delivery. That way it keeps me kind of on track. Yeah.
But do you ever get to the point where you have a whole fridge full of the Factor meals, and then you didn't eat any of them, and you have to chuck them?
Oh yeah, we chuck some.
You chuck them.
Just because we have guests over or whatever, and then I can't eat Factor if we're all going to dinner, Yeah. But my latest decadent dish right now is it's a Korean dish where it's ramen and mochi and cabbage and chicken and cheese and mozzarella cheese all in this like red sauce. Yeah. And it's just
I've had that.
It's so crack. That's like
my girlfriend eats that shit all the time.
Yeah, it's I think they call it tteokbokki or tteokbokki.
She ordered that in the pandemic, and I was like, "Why is there mozzarella and there's need noodles?
Ramen and
what the fuck is going on?" Yeah.
I mean that's my
and that shit's bad for you.
Yeah,
bro, that's no.
I mean, because it's rice cakes in there. It's nothing but all the stuff I'm supposed to stay away from. Right?
That's terrible.
But it's so bomb.
Yeah, this is the this is the cross to bear of a middle-aged man, is that food is like now your fucking worst enemy, and you're just fighting off most guys are just fighting, not all, some guys are just naturally fucking thin and rangy.
I can just eat whatever the fuck they want.
forever.
Like, I mean, he's like my other boy Luke, he has like the metabolism of like, what's that swimmer dude? Like,
Yeah.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Like he has to eat like, 100,000 calories a day or something. I'm like, just like, I'm still just struggling to stay under 2,000, to retain my weight. That's not even to lose weight.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to be chubby.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fucking nightmare. Yo, I work out sometimes 7 days a week just to be fucking like chubby. And like it's gratifying and I feel great, but it's like I can't fucking lose weight. Like in order for me to lose weight, I have to go full psycho mode and become angry at people when they ask me to eat something. Yeah. I have to tell them to go fuck themselves. Yeah. It's the only way because
you get aggro.
You have to get aggro. It's the only way it's ever worked because they don't understand. They go, just have like, why don't you just have like a little bit of kalbi or like have like, one piece of this sushi. I'm like, you don't understand. Yeah. Once I open the door, it's on. It's on and cracking. I'm like,
but what we've been doing too? We've been doing the conveyor belt sushi, and then what we do is I just don't eat any of the rice. So like our plates are like massive, but I'm just eating all the tops.
You're eating just the top?
Yeah, so no rice.
Fuck. Where's there good conveyor belt sushi? Because I went to one in J-Town that was.
I mean, the
in
conveyor belts
J-Town.
are like okay.
They're okay.
I mean? I mean it's like a quick go-to. I wouldn't recommend.
There's no good ones out here, right?
I mean. Kura that's the one we go to, the one by the pad. There's a few of those, but there used to be a bomb one called Flying Fish in Little Tokyo, but that one's gone. But that was like back in the day. Yeah. Now it's like a mochi place or something, or like a trinket store or something. I don't know. Boba place. Oh, I think it's a boba place now. I was like, damn, that was the bomb one.
Fucking
Flying
boba.
Fish, yeah.
Damn.
But food. Like, but I guess it's better to fuck up on that than relapse on drugs,
Yeah, for sure. But yes, but it's like it's like you create a new world, right? You get off of drugs, and then you have a new world of like temptations and relapses and things where you're like, oh, I fucked up yesterday. I had this. Like, that's what I talk to like sober guys my age. We just talk about fucking up on those things. It is better, of course, right? It's better to eat a pint of ice cream than to get an 8-ball because I can get up the next day and go to the gym. And if I get
well, that's my justification. Like if my wife does trip too hard on my weight with her, which she does every day. Yeah. But I mean, but she knows, she saw me when I was out there. She's a trooper. She was there from like day one. So she knows how it was. And not to threaten her with that, but I mean, she knows it could be a lot fucking worse. Yeah. Because I used to even, because I smoke cloves, or I used to. Oh, yeah. But I don't anymore because, because we just had a baby during the pandemic as well. So, for our daughter, and, because I actually want to be around when she goes to high school and shit, so we quit all that noise. And she's like, you can't even sneak that when you go to car shows, because that's what I used to do. I used to sneak a little clove, or like when I'm painting in my paint studio, I sit back, look at the painting, and I'm smoking, and it just feels good. It feels right, but I agreed to even stop that because she knew I was sneaking, but she didn't say nothing,
Yeah, you have to put a fucking fatwa on everything that's it's all got to go. For me. I
love the smell of weed still, but I just stay away from everything because of the meth, that was my demon, and I don't want to relapse. Like I might be a little high on weed or something and be like, well, you know what, maybe.
Oh yeah,
I'll do a rail of the
just a little baby bump.
Yeah, like, and that's how it got me back when I first relapsed was. I stopped. I said, I'm not going to smoke meth anymore. I'm just going to do a line. Yeah. And then I was just doing lines, and I didn't feel like I was quite back in it because I'll do a rail now and then. But this girl I was dating at the time, she's like, oh, but if you heat up the pipe and you snort it, it's called a hot rail. And I was like, you snort the line, but then you blow out smoke. And I was like, holy shit. I was like,
cheat code.
Yeah. And I was like, this is my new shit. And
this is a loophole.
And then after that, I was just like, well, fuck it. I might as well smoke it if that's the case. You make excuses every time and you just get deeper and deeper. And
your brain is trying to kill you if you're an alcoholic. It's constantly doing push-ups, getting stronger and trying to because if you go out, like, let's say you put 20 years together and then you go out, it's not going to be casual. Like, you're not going to go out and be like, once in a while, you're going to go out, you're going to go ham. Yeah. And also you got resources now. Yeah. Right? You got shit to lose. Yeah. And you could throw a lot of money at the problem. Yeah. You could be like, oh, I can really do this. Yeah. And your addict brain will kick in and just fucking try to murk you. Yeah.
I think with addiction, I think who got it even worse is the gamblers. Yeah. Because I think like with drugs, you only can do so much drugs, right? Yeah. I feel like I can only smoke so much meth. I can't really, you know what I mean? But you could actually not only lose your house, but you could lose borrow money from so and so. You can get.
Are you a gambler?
I used to. I used to play a little pai gow and stuff like that, but not enough to. I mean,
I play a little poker badly.
Yeah, I love poker. You know what I mean? But not. I think ever since the thing is doing business yourself. You gamble on yourself all the fucking time. And every day is a gamble. And I like rather, especially after you lose, like let's say 50 racks or something like that.
Yeah, 50 racks.
I mean, I'm saying let's say you lost 50 racks. I mean, that shit would just eat at me because I would be like, damn, I could have put that towards
that's
this,
lights
that,
out.
and the third. You know
that's
what I mean?
Lights out. No.
You know what I mean? So
so
I think gamblers got it even worse because not only you can lose your own shit, but you can lose your family shit. And like drugs, I guess you're only taking yourself down,
Yeah, Kevin, shout out Kevin Kuzatsu, who said, when you're gambling, think about what that money represents. You're like, oh, this right here is a new iPad. This is a Honda. Like you got to look at it as items, and it becomes real. Because that money, like being someone who's lost the equivalent of his rent in a week, it's like I can take the hit, no problem. It's not a big deal. Like I got, I'm good, but it hurts so fucking bad because I'm like, that's a month, that's rent. That could have been put towards $1 million. That could have been a fucking anything. Could have been a trademark. Like that could have been the future of something. Like, and instead it just lined some jackoff's fucking pockets.
Yeah, I was smoking 2 ounces a week, maybe at my highest point
of meth.
Holy shit! So my connect would just bring it. Like I didn't even have to leave the house. He'd bring it and like leave like with money because he'd front it to me and it was that like I never had to leave the house.
Oh my god!
So I was just there like thinking I'm creating all kind of graphics, thinking I'm doing all kind of like dope shit.
You sober up, it's just like a squiggle,
dude. I saw some of my old sketchbooks, like when I was high. I call it the Ice Age. And I can't even decipher the sketches. I mean, they're so out there because before you finish your sketch, you already got 10,000 other ideas. So like. I'm just trying to, let's say, draw this guy throwing a ball. Like I've already in my mind threw it, caught it. Like, like
you're too ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
You're in the future. You're sketching in the future.
Yeah. It was so sketched out. Like I couldn't even decipher. Now that I'm clean, it's like I can, make sense of some of the stuff and actually finish a project and execute. And so I'm a lot sharper now,
Yeah.
And just thankful that I have my mind still halfway intact.
It's all better.
That we can talk about it and laugh about it now.
It's all better clean. I try to tell new guys, they're like, I gotta take a Molly so I can fuck this chick. I'm like, it's gonna be fine, man. That's just one night.
Yeah.
You're gonna jeopardize your whole fucking get down for one night with one person. Like, give me a break. It's all fine. Like everyone's like, I'm not gonna be able to draw. I'm not gonna be able to make music. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna do better. It's gonna be even better than you thought it was.
It seems like it was an adventure when you're out and when you're on a good one. Like even the simplest task, became an adventure. And I think that's maybe was fun about it to me. I feel like since I'm clean, I feel like I'm so not fun anymore. Like I feel like that fun went out the door when it became clean. But
you feel like you're some sort of fucking. You feel like you're some sort of like bandit or a spy because you're like, you got to put the shit in the car and drive. You're high. You got to hide the shit. You're driving to the spot. You got to get the connect. You get the shit. And like, you're just playing this game. I remember driving around like that and being like, fuck yeah, I'm going to fucking burn this shit all down. I used to let fools
cook meth in my pad. I mean, like, dude, like, it doesn't sound that crazy, but crazy. You don't really you don't consider the repercussions, right? Like if you got caught or whatever, and things like that. But we used to do some crazy shit, And I remember the microwave blowing up we were like trying to clean all this meth. The microwave blew up. Any normal person would be tripping out or whatever, right? Yeah. But not us. We put blankets on my kitchen to chamber the smoke so we wouldn't waste any.
Oh my God.
Because we wanted to. So
These Mikey's over there cracking up. Look at him.
Dude, I got some meth stories, but we're not allowed to talk about them at the meetings because you're not trying to glorify it or anything. Right, but it's just funny as fuck now to think about it. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, my microwave just exploded with all this meth in the house, and I'm
trying to trap the smoke.
And I'm trying to trap the smoke in to chamber it all in so I don't waste it.
Fuck, dude, trying to chase smoke. That's so sick. Chasing smoke.
Wow. But yeah, dude, I wish I don't know. This has been fun, man. I know you got to get out. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. It'll be good. It'll be good in the lineup. We got some good guys. I had Saber on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just insane.
Yeah, he got some serious graffiti stories. I wish I had those kind of stories like.
You got him. It's just he
I don't have
He's
anything
intense.
interesting as like he got like stabbed like on the like
impaled
and
himself
shit,
on
like,
a fence.
He told me some crazy shit. I'm like,
he's a maniac. Yeah.
I was like, damn. Yeah.
No, you got good ones. This was a good show. All right, I got a jam. Slick, thank you so much. Appreciate you for coming through. Good to meet you, Mikey. Yeah, I got to bounce actually.